Okay. Now, as you can imagine, audio file is played from disk to the using audio card sound driver to your speakers. So there is a important dock called FX chain dock. So this FX chain is its purpose is to contain the actual plugins or presets which will be used when previewing. So we have here a lot of buttons, but the basic system, the basic stuff is that you can go just here in your FX browser, select the let's say one of the plugins which we want to load. These are like inserts. The FX chain dock is these are inserts for your master bus. We could say that, because also let's first try to load a single plugin into this FX chain. We have here, for example, L-Ray plugin, acoustic audio L-Ray plugin. I will load it here. Okay. You can see it's GUI opened. We can close or open as you could expect its editor. So this is here we can find the basic info of plugin. Okay, and this is the first insert. So if we listen to the song and double click on the plugin, and let's select mix bus and set threshold. NebulaMan will properly adapt input level to -18 dB peak RMS normalization. So L-Ray will get this input and process it and send it to our master NebulaMan master output. And we can of course load another plugin here. Let's select, for example, Ivory. Let's say Ivory 3. Okay, here's the Ivory. Now file should loop. Now we will open some hash shelf, engage preamp. Let's see, does it work? Okay, it's working. Okay, now you get an idea. So these are basically inserts as you are used to from other programs, as you know them from other programs. So we can of course rearrange inserts. We can of course delete them, add them. We can save chains to files, so to reuse them later. We can copy paste. These are all details which you will learn when actually using the program more extensively. We have here, okay, I can say that this is the same button as here in toolbar, so bypass preview processing. So you will, this is quick bypass if you need it. Now let's talk about these buttons. We can see there are 5 buttons from A to E. These are actual preview sources. So preview sources are actually the buses, and the main bus is master FX bus is called A. If you select C, D, you can select any preview bus And you can load different plugins into each one and quick change, do quick comparisons, quick changes, and so you can compare different FX chains, etc. Now we can select them using these buttons, and we can select the preview source using this drop-down list. But there is one important thing which is needed for better understanding of a rendering system in the NebulaMan. We will talk about rendering in the next videos, but this is the important thing which may not be obvious the first time. So this is a project pool. This is a preview source B, which is also called project pool item fx chain. So this project, if you want to render stuff, you must load plugins into this preview source. So this preview source is directly connected to project pool, which we will also talk about it later. This project pool is the source for the file list for rendering, and this preview source B is directly connected. So each file which will be rendered can have its own fx chain, and this fx chain of each file to be rendered is always accessed through project pool item fx chain, so preview source B. Okay, but for now, don't bother with it. Now we will check these other preview sources, and usually you will, if you are not comparing stuff and trying to change fx chains on the fly, you will most likely use the preview source A all the time. Okay, now as you can see, I've loaded two VST2 plugins. These plugins are support for VST2 plugins is new in NebulaMan 2, but as we talked in the previous video, there is also another format of plugins. Let's call them plugins or presets, and these are native Nebula presets, which can be used without even having Nebula plugin, because Nebula 1.5 didn't have support for VST2, and the only way to access Nebula presets was to use native presets. So if we can combine VST2 plugins and native Nebula presets, and I will use an equalizer here from Alex B. So let's use middle frequency equalizer. Now this one will load. I don't know why does it take so long. Why it takes so long? Let's hope. Okay, we are lucky. Okay, this is the equalizer, but you can see there is actually no GUI, no graphical interface for these native presets, but you have here standard Nebula parameters, so input, output, and 8 standard parameters which depend on actual preset. So let's play things. Okay, ordinary stuff. So actually now I understand this fx chain doc is nothing but master insert section. So you can combine native Nebula presets with VST2 plugins, so you can create your own fx chains. This comes as, again, these concepts of having fx chains and how to create them is basically used also when preparing things for rendering. So the most important thing to know is to be aware of preview source B. The typical beginner's mistake when trying to render things in NebulaMan is to create fx chain in let's say preview source A or C or D or E, and then render. But actually, in this case, files will not be processed using these plugins, because these plugins must be loaded into preview B. This is a rule. So I think I've covered most of the things which are important to understand how to preview file. Okay, maybe this is another important. Right click on this button will show you recent file list for preview, which were used for previewing. So you can select file from here. I think maybe this one is nice for the end of my speech. Okay, joking. So you can find all this information and more inside manual, because there are really not a lot of differences comparing to NebulaMan 1.5. There is also a file what's new about NebulaMan. You can find that file and you can simply check the differences, but the concepts are the same. So if you understand how to preview and render in NebulaMan 1.5, you will understand how to do it in NebulaMan 2, but even easier. So sorry for my bad English sometime, and I really hope this video is helpful to you, and we will be in touch. Check out my next video when available. Enjoy.